Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am excited to see you here, and it's always a great opportunity to step in this space, because it always is thought-provoking. So as I speak with you, I speak from inspiration. I speak as I'm guided to. So these words are not just for you; they are just for me as well. So what are we here to explore today? That's the question in my mind for preparation. And that's a beautiful space to have that question at all times. What are we here to explore today? And it's a moment of thought, right? Because my thought goes back to the beginning of time. Did everybody carry that thought? Or what were they doing in a given time? How the brain would have worked, how the thought would have come up. Because our journey of spiritualism is a very heavily influenced by thinkers. Because to sit with an unknown sphere of existence, of air and space continuum, what are we discovering within this journey? And that has been sort of somewhere the backdrop of that thought. What are we here to discover? Because my discovery as a child was interesting because it is still so vivid, yet it is not the same experience anymore. The experience has become broader and deeper and more palpable than what it was. But that experience is still there. The brain recalls that, the brain brings that forward and gives that excitement of, oh, wish it continued the way it was. Because life is always evolving and the development continues to go on. So the question becomes, what is more to us? What happens? And that has been the thought of intrigue, because how many of us hold those strong memories of our past? Good, bad, and indifferent. We perpetually carry them in our auric field or on our energetic field, and we carry those experiences no matter where we are, no matter where we go, they are with us at all times. So what are we discovering within that evolvement? Because we are no longer 1 year old or 8 year old or 10 years old, we're always moving forward. But what are we evolving? What are we putting the work into? And the second thought within this observation is, what am I here to discover is my journey unto myself, what am I doing with that? And this thought is sort of a sense of curiosity, because am I here to revolutionize my own journey, or I'm just okay to be okay? And that is a sort of a thought-provoking thought. Are you just okay where you are? Or are you willing to shake things up, rattle things up, disturb them so that you can discover whatever the beauty is? Has anybody ever seen on YouTube or in real life the process of ironsmithing or any metallurgic process? You know, you put something through heat, and to process it to create a structure or something, you have to sort of beat it with weight so that it takes a shape. But in the process, if you observe with curiosity, things that are no longer a purpose of it, they start to fall apart. And for me, that is a purpose, a very tangible way of saying this is how our lives should revolutionize our journeys, because we have the ability to shed things about ourselves and our personality to take on the new personality of the new persona, or purify where we are. But are we willing to discover those things that need to fall apart from us, fall away from us, and allow us to be a little bit more? So within the journey of spiritualism, going back in time, this is a part that has always been discovering the new thought, discovering the new idea, discovering the new ways to touch in with the spirit world and to work with the information that is received. And just not too long ago, the thought was, are we working with an aging, ancient discoveries, or are we willing to take this into the new form and new age of life? Are we bringing ourselves to the current index of knowledge? So science was not that strongly developed at that point. There's a lot more scientific discovery that has come into today's time period. A lot of our sensitivities can be measured, which was not the case in the previous time. But the idea is, are we revolutionizing our journey? Where are we going with this? So waking up this morning, I was just thinking, like, what am I wanting to do today? What is my own discovery? What is about today that I can shift and change? It has been an amazing journey thus far. Regardless of what the experience is, it has always left me in a place of thinking of where I'm heading for. So my question to you is, even though in this rough shape of observation, as you sit here listening to whatever's going on in your internal mind more than what we are having to communicate here, what is there in your life that you're wanting to change, make it better, or improve? And how are you going to do that? That's just a simple question. And then again, it is okay to be where you are. Because we all live with a choice, and our belief system completely follows the principle of free choice, free will. We have to assume that personal responsibility of growth and development and see where we are in that big journey. Everybody in this room has gone through a set aspect of spiritual unfoldment, a religious unfoldment, and some of us were born into this stream of consciousness of spiritualism. Some have come from different facets and different journeys of religious belief system. But sitting here alone says you have embraced a certain change of your mindset and your thought process in your own way. And that's a big thing in its own. So as life is evolving and life is growing, how are we changing? How are we evolving? And that's where the thought is. So you are here today, what are you going to do tomorrow? Or what are you even going to do 2 hours from now? Where that subset is. There was a beautiful phrase I was given a long time ago, and where the mind goes, that's where the thought is, and that's where the thought is, that's where your intention sets to take place. Or it could be reversed. Where your intent is, that's where your mind is, and that's where the thought creates many things. So what are we creating in our lives? My question to myself and to you is, what are we doing here in this room? It could have been just as an easy comfort in our homes, just doing the things that we love to do. But why are we here? What is the purpose of discovery? So going from here, I just wanted to say, the journey of revolution is not outside of you, it's inside of you. How you are tapping into the passion that you have. And where it takes you is your own choice, your own ability to find that pathway. Find that discovery within you where it is taking you. And it's always a self-introspection and self-reflection and self-process to what I'm doing where I am, is this the only thing, or there is more to it? And I'm one to say there is more to it. I cannot just sit one place and just let that be my true reality. I have to evolve, I have to grow. My body is growing, my age is growing, my numbers are changing, so why can't I change in my thought and my concept of mind? Why do I want to stay where I am at all times? The other part of revolution, the word itself is to change things up from where they are. For good or bad, that is the outcome of it, but it's about the change that you're wanting to see. But Gandhi said, are you the change that you're willing to be? But you have to understand, the journey of this change and the journey of spiritualism is a very thought-provoking journey, because every day is different. Every day comes with a great curiosity of how things work. Just walking through that door up to the space, I was so amused by the seashells on here. And it was just like, oh, this is so tangible, I can almost literally feel walking on the sand. That's a discovery in its own, that I could really feel my hands in sand and my feet in sand, even though I'm standing here in a concrete space. The aspect of feeling, or that softness, is there. Sitting in this chair, I was just still tickled by the thought of like, oh, am I at the beach or am I at a place? But nonetheless, it was a very softening thought. Sometimes when life becomes difficult, the help that comes from the spiritual side, through your loved ones, through the family members, through the higher conscious entities and spirit forms, can be just as gentle when it comes to you in soft nudges and soft inspiration. The life's most challenging phase of life can be just as gentle as just a small thought. But the point is, are you able to tune into that space? Are you able to work yourself into the consciousness that is always there waiting for us to say, ooh, I want some help here, or I want some new thought to make my life different. And that's where I wish we all can take ourselves. Challenges are everywhere. We turn around left, right. We all have challenges in our lives. But the idea is, how do you soften those difficult spaces? I'm sure many of us in this room have gone through difficult relationships. But guess what? Those that we experience here, we go up on the spirit side, we find the same people. We find the like-mindedness. Right? That's a challenging thought itself, you know. You can run, but you cannot hide. That's the whole thing. You can die, but you cannot hide. But at the same point, the aspect is, should we choose to soften our life in this space, in the physical experience, the afterlife becomes even softer. Yesterday I was sitting with somebody in a session, and I felt this father figure just rush into this conversation. So excited, so aware to see and meet and greet with their loved one that were sitting in front of me. It was just a pure rush. But at about 10 feet space, imaginary 10 feet space in the mind, it felt like he had to put his brakes on. There is a healing that needed to take place. So his excitement and his awareness still continued on the conscious, in a sense of consciousness on the spirit life, because what we have here continues in some way, shape, or form in the spirit world. Nothing changes like that. There's an evolution that is still continuing there. So that was a very profound moment of observation, is that he's understanding there is a need of space. I cannot be that close because I never was, or we never was that close. So how do we say that we are just going to come and, you know, emoting in the manner we were never there? But the excitement was there. Oh, my family is here, and I'm coming to meet and greet. That was a beautiful awareness, because for me, that was like, what did I discover in that moment? One more sense of affirming reality for me. What here is, if I don't take care of this, I still have to work on this. I'd rather have free time there to go to a library and read more and go to the next plane of existence and see more brilliant light and brilliant colors and more chocolate fountains and all that good stuff. Willy Wonka is there, so are we. But at the same time, there's a sense of evolution within me just surged and says, you know, be more attentive in the here and now. The present is very important, and the now is inevitably the reality. Everything else is a thought from the past, thought from the future. This is it. And that itself was very powerful. So the rest of my day was just in a little off moment, just thinking about that experience, that how real it was for me as a medium, as a communicator, and how real it was for the person sitting in front of me. Because should that person would have come running and just smashed into the energy field, they were not going to accept that. Reality, realism is there. Same aspect is with the God sense. You know, we are all evolving. We are wanting to be up as close to our own definition of God. But how are we working through it? What are our daily practices? How are we approaching that sense of connection? For me, I'm not a regular meditator. So those that don't meditate on a regular basis, this is just to say it is okay. And it's not the part that I cannot meditate. It's just that I have a very conscious way of my life. Every moment is a thinking, feeling, sensing moment. And not from an empath value just for me. That's my own discovery of where I am on a given time. Even this moment of consciousness where the words are flowing, but I am more aware of my own sense of self with that. And that's my way of having a perpetual meditation throughout my day. But if you have your spiritual practices, what are they giving to you? Do you need to change them? Are you just satisfied reaching a plateau and that's that? There's always a sense of evolution that's going on a spiritual realm as well, where we need to just learn and discover where that is and just uplift us to the next frequency. So, how many of us have heard of Yogananda? Right? Okay, beautiful thought. Yogananda is an Eastern-born man. He embraced the philosophy of self-realization, came to California many years ago, and that was his home base, and he created a self-realization fellowship, and there is a principle of way of life and you follow to raise your consciousness to experience self-realization. In his very famous, the best-selling book called Autobiography of a Yogi, he talks about a lot of things. He talks about a lot of examples of men and yogis that have experienced higher states of consciousness to produce these beautiful effects that is hard to find, but yet they exist, such as bilocation, such as producing fragrance of somebody that you care about or giving you that essence of that out of nowhere. And there are other physical, spiritual manifestations. And as this book goes into the part of the journey, the precept is not to get caught in one way of life, or not to ever feel satisfied where you are until you reach that God realization in your life. For us here, I think we all have the ability, but we all have a different way of approaching that. Some will stay where they are, and which is okay. There's nothing right or wrong. It's a sense of choice where you're wanting, how much of a revolution you're wanting within your life. So we all do spring cleaning, right? No, not many. But imagine, back in the days, I still remember, we didn't have dishwasher, we didn't have washer and dryer at home, so everything was manual labor. But every now and then, we would have a chore at the house to take big drapes and big curtains and take them to the drying line, and Mom would hand us a stick and we would go at it. It was fun and play as a child, you just get to whack something. But at the same time, the precept is that rug or that space is us. And we can choose our life to beat the heck out of it, or we have the choice that life beats the heck out of us and yet give us a new meaning, a new definition. We don't have sun-dried clothes anymore. Very few, seldom have sun-dried clothes. Does anybody remember what it feels like to have a sun-dried clothes, right? There's something about it. There's something of some old principles and new acceptance of new version of life can create such a beauty in our own lives that we would have such a charming way of living on a daily basis. I have to remind everybody that we do beat ourselves up for a lot of things. Things that we didn't do, things that we didn't experience, things we should have done, we could have done. All that goes on. But if we do that, maybe the new thought is, what are we going to get out of it? Unless it allows us to change and be something better than where we were, then what's the point? Do something about it. Take action. Take a step towards it, and then carry on. The journey of spiritualism, once again, has been sort of a very refreshing for me. That sigh of calm and consistency has been a big part for me. Not to be burdened by somebody else telling me what to do, not to be burdened by just being in a small square box in some way, but to be able to say, oh, let me push on this wall, see how far this is going to stretch. Or, oh, let me create a little small circle over here, see how far I can see from there. What the light shines on me on the internal side. So embracing all religions, all philosophies have become sort of a beautiful, malleable part of the journey to see everything from a sense of awareness and just be that. And I think everyone in this room has that ability. But what are we going to do about it? What are we ready to discover? Walking in that bookstore where some good books are, as I closed this conversation, I found a little small pocket classic. And I had no idea it has some great things. This is Dhamma, the sayings of Buddha. So I will read a couple of verses here and then we'll close the service. It is titled as The Wise Man. The wise man tells you where you have fallen and where you yet may fall. Invaluable secrets. Follow him. Follow the way. Let him chasten and teach you and keep you from mischief. The world may hate him, but good men love him. Do not look for bad company or live with men who do not care. Find friends who love the truth. Drink deeply, live in serenity and joy. The wise man delights in the truth and follows the law of awakening. The farmer channels water to his land. The fletcher whittles his arrow, and the carpenter turns his wood. So the wise man directs his mind. The wind cannot shake a mountain, neither praise nor blame moves the wise man. He is clarity, hearing the truth. He is like a lake, pure, tranquil, and deep. Want nothing where there is desire, say nothing. Happiness or sorrow, whatever befalls you, walk on untouched, unattached. Do not ask for family or power or wealth, either for yourself or for another. Can a wise man wish to rise unjustly? Few cross over the river, most are stranded on this side. On the river bank they run up and down, but the wise man, following the way, crosses over beyond the reach of death. He leaves the dark way for the way of light. Thank you for listening.